Starting right away, letting the atmosphere settle around you as if the room softened and your thoughts slowed down on their own, because when a message arrives at the exact moment you are ready for it, something inside you pays attention in a different way, as if your inner world knew before your mind did that a shift was beginning, and that is exactly the kind of transformation Florence Scovel Shinn always pointed toward. The quiet truth that everything you attract begins with the tone of your energy, not with struggle, not with pressure, but with the inner state you choose in this moment, the place from which your thoughts rise, the space from which your intentions breathe, and the more you understand this, the more your reality begins to respond as if someone had gently rearranged the entire landscape of your life without you needing to force anything, because true change doesn't begin outside. It begins in the way your body relaxes, in the way your mind opens, in the way your heart finally stops fighting against itself, and that is what starts to happen now, as you listen and let your own awareness settle deeper, noticing how each word opens a quiet doorway inside you, a doorway where you no longer rush to control every detail or predict every scenario, a doorway where you finally understand that what you desire isn't distant, it isn't unreachable, it isn't something you need to chase desperately. It is something that begins moving toward you the moment your energy makes space for it, the moment you stop gripping old fears, the moment you allow a softer, clearer inner tone to take shape, and in that moment something in your reality shifts in ways you can feel even in the smallest gestures, in the way you breathe more slowly, in the way your thoughts stop racing, in the way your inner voice becomes less harsh and more supportive, because when your state changes everything around you starts to reorganize. Almost silently, almost naturally, like a landscape, adjusting to the sun without needing to be told, and this is the heart of what Florence taught again and again, the idea that the world mirrors what you hold within, and when you change the within, the mirror cannot help but transform, and as you continue listening you begin to notice that this isn't theoretical, it's physical, it's emotional, it's something you can feel settling into your chest, making space where there was once tension, bringing clarity where there was once doubt, and little by little your energy becomes more open, more steady, more aligned with the reality you want to live, as if the desire you once saw as far away begins to draw closer simply because you no longer complicate the path, simply because you no longer fight the process, simply because you allow the possibility to exist without fear, and it is in this allowing that your transformation truly begins. The kind of transformation that doesn't require force, that doesn't require proving anything to anyone, that doesn't require you to abandon yourself to chase what you want, because what you want comes when you become the version of yourself that can receive it without resistance, without tension, without that old belief that you must work endlessly to deserve anything, and for the first time you begin to understand that your desires do not need to be justified, that wanting a fuller life is not a flaw, that aiming higher is not arrogance, that dreaming bigger is not something you need to apologize for, because desire is simply the natural movement of the soul toward expansion, and when your energy aligns with that movement everything in your reality aligns with it too, and as this realization grows inside you, you can feel your entire inner world reorganizing itself, the old heaviness loosening, the old narratives dissolving, the old tension fading away, and a new state taking shape, steadier, clearer, more grounded. A state that naturally attracts what you desire because it finally matches it. And now I want you to notice how your body feels in this moment, how your shoulders have dropped without you telling them to, how your breath has softened, how your mind feels less crowded, because this is the first sign that the shift has already begun, that your energy is already changing, that the state you hold now is completely different from the one you held before you started listening. And if this video has found you at this exact moment, it is because your inner world was ready, because you reached the point where the old energy no longer fits and the new energy is finally able to enter, and from this moment forward everything begins to move differently, everything begins to unfold with more ease, everything begins to approach you because now you match the very thing you once thought was far away, now you are the place where your desire can land gently, now you are aligned with the reality you want to live. As you continue letting these words move through you, something subtle begins to happen, something quiet yet unmistakable, like the moment a door you didn't know was locked finally opens without effort, revealing a path inside yourself that always existed but was hidden under the noise of old beliefs. And as you walk through this inner path you begin to notice how different everything feels when you no longer carry the weight of trying to control outcomes that were never meant to be forced. Because Florence Scovel Shinn taught that life does not respond to pressure, it responds to clarity, and clarity only appears when your inner world is calm enough to hear its own truth, and now that calm begins to rise like a warm current inside your chest, spreading through your whole body in a way that feels both familiar and new, as if you were remembering something you once knew instinctively before the world taught you to doubt yourself. And that remembrance awakens a strength that isn't loud or aggressive but steady, grounded, a strength that comes from knowing that your energy is the starting point of everything you attract, and when this awareness takes root, you no longer chase anything, you no longer fear missing opportunities, you no longer question your worth, because the moment you shift your energy you become the opportunity, you become the alignment. You become the open doorway through which your desires can finally enter, and this realization is powerful not because it is complicated but because it is simple, so simple that the mind often tries to resist it, but the body understands first, the body relaxes before the mind believes, and as this relaxation deepens you notice that your thoughts begin moving more slowly, as if they were settling into the right places, and this settling creates space, and that space is where new outcomes can form without confusion, without resistance, without the constant noise that kept you trapped in cycles that no longer serve you, and the more you settle into this new inner space the more you realize that life has never been against you, it has only been matching the tone you carried, and when that tone changes the outer world naturally reshapes itself around your new frequency, the same way a landscape transforms when the light shifts, not through force but through pure alignment, and as this understanding deepens your energy starts to rise. Not in a dramatic burst but in a warm steady expansion, growing from the inside out like a quiet flame that doesn't burn but illuminates, a flame that shows you that what you desire is not beyond reach, it is simply waiting for the right version of you to hold space for it, and right now you are becoming that version, because every moment you choose a calmer inner state you rewrite the script of your life without even realizing it, every moment you choose a kinder inner voice you open a new pathway, every moment you choose to trust instead of fear you shift into a new reality, one where things begin to work for you, one where opportunities unfold naturally, one where you no longer question every step but feel guided by something deeper, something steady, something that knows your path even when you cannot see the full picture, and Florence always said that intuition is the voice of your deeper self, the voice that speaks softly but accurately, guiding you not through panic but through peace. And as you listen now that voice becomes easier to hear, clearer, more distinguishable from the noise of old patterns, and you begin to understand that this voice has always been present, patiently waiting beneath the surface of your thoughts, and as you reconnect with it you feel a sense of inner order returning, a sense that you no longer need to rush, that you no longer need to prove yourself, that you no longer need to seek permission to live a life that feels aligned with who you truly are. Because alignment is not granted by anyone outside. Alignment begins inside, and once it is established, the outer world only follows, and with each breath you feel yourself stepping deeper into that alignment, deeper into that certainty, deeper into the state where your desires recognize you because you finally match them, and in this state something beautiful happens, the fear of lack loosens, the fear of being too late dissolves, the feeling of needing to fight for everything disappears. And what replaces all that noise is a calm expectation, a quiet confidence, a knowing that what is aligned with you cannot be taken from you, and what is meant for you does not require desperation, because the universe responds to who you are, not to how hard you struggle, and now you are learning to become the version of yourself that life can respond to easily, naturally, gracefully, without friction, without resistance, without force, simply through the energy you hold as you listen. Breathe and allow this transformation to complete itself within you, because once the inner shift happens the outer shift becomes inevitable. And as you stay in this space a little longer you begin to sense how your inner landscape is reorganizing itself in ways that are subtle but undeniable, like the moment sunlight touches a room that had been dim for too long without you noticing how much the light was missing until it finally returns, and this return feels gentle but transformative. Because it shows you that the clarity you seek does not come from analyzing every possibility or worrying about every future step, it comes from the energy you choose to hold in the present moment, and as that energy shifts everything else begins to follow naturally, as if life itself adjusts its rhythm to match your inner tone, and this is when you start realizing that nothing outside of you has ever held the real power. The real power has always been the state you carry, the mindset you feed, the emotion you nurture beneath the surface of your thoughts. And when that emotion becomes steadier, calmer, more trusting, the entire way you move through the world changes with it, because you no longer live from tension, you live from alignment, and alignment creates a path that feels like it was always meant for you, a path where you do not chase what you desire but welcome it, a path where you do not fear losing anything because what matches your energy cannot leave, and what does not match your energy cannot stay. And understanding this simple truth lifts away a weight you may have carried for years, the weight of trying to hold everything together through force instead of allowing things to flow by resonance, and as this weight dissolves you feel lighter in places you didn't even know were heavy, your breath becomes deeper, your intuition becomes clearer, your thoughts move with more harmony, and this harmony is what begins attracting new experiences, because life responds to your internal order, and now that your inner world is becoming more ordered, more spacious, more balanced, you can feel possibilities approaching that once seemed unreachable, not because they suddenly appeared but because now you are finally able to perceive them, and perception is the first doorway to creation. The moment you see something as possible it becomes available, and Florence Scovel Shinn knew that possibility is not imagined, it is recognized, it is remembered. It is the mind waking up to the fact that the universe is far more abundant than the old patterns allowed you to believe, and as this remembrance grows inside you, a Quiet confidence begins to rise, a confidence that does not shout or demand attention but stands firmly within you, like a steady flame that cannot be extinguished by doubt, and this flame illuminates the parts of you that once felt small or uncertain, revealing strengths you forgot you had, revealing courage that had been sleeping beneath layers of fear, revealing a sense of worthiness that makes you realize you never needed permission to want what you want, because desire itself is a sign of expansion, and expansion is your natural direction, and as this truth becomes clearer, your energy continues shifting into a deeper place of alignment, where fear loses its grip and a new kind of calm takes over, the kind of calm that comes from knowing you are supported by something larger than logic, something that responds to your internal choices, something that arranges circumstances in ways you may not understand at first but that always lead you toward what is meant for you, and the more you trust this movement, the faster things begin to align, not through force but through ease, not through struggle but through resonance, not through trying to control everything but through choosing the right energy, because choosing the right energy is the most powerful action you can take. It signals to life that you are ready, it invites what you desire to move closer, it dissolves the invisible walls that once blocked your path, and now those walls are crumbling as your awareness expands. Because you are no longer living from the old patterns that kept you stuck, you are stepping into a new identity, an identity built on trust instead of fear, clarity instead of confusion, openness instead of resistance, and in this identity your desires are not distant anymore, they are near, they are approaching you in ways you can feel even now, in the way your thoughts soften, in the way your body loosens, in the way your attention shifts from worry to presence, and presence is where manifestation begins, presence is where alignment stabilizes, presence is where the energy changes so deeply that the external world must respond, because once the shift happens within you the outer shift is not a matter of if, but when. And that one becomes sooner than you expect once you decide to stay in this new state long enough for life to follow your lead, and as you remain inside this expanding awareness you begin to feel how the old version of yourself slowly loosens its hold, not with force, not with conflict, but with a kind of gentle releasing, the way a knot unties when you stop pulling it in the wrong direction, and this releasing is not something you need to manage or control, it simply happens as your energy rises into a new harmony, a new coherence, a new inner order, and as this order grows you sense a shift in the way you view your own life. Because suddenly the things that once felt overwhelming no longer carry the same weight, and the things that once seemed impossible begin to soften into possibility, and possibility begins to take the shape of inevitability when your energy aligns deeply enough, and that is what you are experiencing now, a deep alignment that changes how you interpret everything, because when your internal world becomes clear the outer world reflects that clarity, revealing pathways that were always there but could only be seen from the right emotional state. And this is one of the most profound truths Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized, that life cannot give you what you are not prepared to receive, not because you are unworthy but because your inner state must match the experiences you seek, and once the match happens, receiving becomes natural, automatic, effortless, like breathing, and now that alignment is forming inside you with every breath you take, because your awareness is no longer scattered, no longer pulled in 10 different directions by fear, by worry, by old narratives that no longer apply to who you are becoming, and as this inner coherence strengthens you begin to see yourself differently, not as someone waiting for external changes but as someone generating internal conditions that shape reality from the inside out, and this shift in perspective is powerful because it puts your life back into your own hands, not through control but through consciousness, not through tension but through awareness, not through pressure but through presence. And presence is something you can feel right now. The sensation of being fully here, fully awake, fully grounded in this moment without needing to fix anything, without needing to justify anything, without needing to force anything, because the more present you become the more your energy stabilizes, and the more it stabilizes the more it magnetizes the things that belong to your path, the connections that resonate with your growth, the opportunities that align with your next chapter, the experiences that fit the version of you arising now. And this rising version is not built on fear or lack, it is built on clarity, trust, inner openness, and a quiet certainty that you are moving towards something meaningful even if you cannot see all the details yet, because intuition fills the gaps where logic cannot reach, and intuition is becoming louder now, clearer, more precise, guiding you through the gentle sensations in your body, through the calm thoughts that surface without effort, through the soft impulses that feel more like remembering, then deciding, impulses that feel like your deeper self calling you forward, one step at a time, without urgency, without noise, without confusion, and as you follow this inner guidance you begin to realize how much strength there is in softness, how much power there is in calmness, how much clarity there is in allowing instead of forcing, and this allowing is transforming you, reshaping the way you hold yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you move through your own experiences. Because when your energy becomes aligned with your desires you no longer need to question whether you are capable, you no longer need to doubt whether things will work out, you no longer need to carry the weight of every what if that once clouded your mind, because now you understand that uncertainty is not a threat, uncertainty is simply space, the space where new realities take shape, the space where the unseen begins to prepare itself for you, the space where the next version of your life is forming quietly beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to rise, and that moment comes faster when your energy is steady, and right now you are steady in ways you may not have been for a long time, steady in the way your thoughts calm down before spiraling, steady in the way your breath deepens, steady in the way your awareness returns to your center, and this center is where your power lives. Not the loud kind of power that demands attention, but the quiet kind that reshapes your entire reality from within, and as this power grows, your life begins to feel different, clearer, softer, more aligned with a direction that feels like it was always yours. And this is the moment when you realize that transformation does not begin with grand actions, it begins with a single inner shift, a shift that then creates another, and another, until suddenly you look back and realize you are not the same person you were when you started listening to these words, because something has awakened inside you, something that no longer accepts the limitations you once believed, something that no longer carries the fears that once defined your choices, something that knows you are capable of receiving more, living more, becoming more, simply because your energy finally matches what your heart has always wanted. And as you continue allowing this inner shift to unfold, you start to feel how each part of you slowly aligns with a deeper truth, a truth that had been waiting beneath layers of noise, waiting for the moment your awareness became quiet enough to hear it clearly, and now that quiet is here, it settles around you like a warm presence, steady and comforting. And within that stillness you begin to sense how your entire life moves differently when you stop operating from fear and begin operating from clarity, because fear always tightens your energy, it closes doors, it narrows your vision, but clarity expands you, clarity opens inner space, clarity reveals paths that were invisible when your mind was crowded, and as this inner space widens, your ability to attract what you desire becomes natural, not forced, because attracting is not about reaching outward. It is about becoming inwardly aligned with the experience you want, and alignment is what you are stepping into now, this quiet alignment that feels like your breath finally syncing with the rhythm of your own life, a rhythm that had always been there but was buried under expectations, worries, old stories that did not belong to the person you are becoming, and when these old stories fade, their absence makes room for a new chapter to emerge, a chapter where you no longer see yourself as someone trying to catch up but as someone finally moving at the right pace, the pace of your truth, the pace of your intuition, the pace of the energy that resonates with everything you desire, and as this resonance grows inside you, you begin to feel how the outer world responds, not because it suddenly changed but because your inner perception shifted enough for you to notice opportunities you once overlooked, signs you once dismissed, possibilities you once believed were for others but not for you, and now you understand that nothing was ever out of your reach. Your energy simply wasn't harmonizing with it yet, but now it is. Now it rises with each breath, each thought, each moment you choose to stay present instead of falling back into the noise of old fears, and this choice is powerful, because every time you choose presence, you rewrite your own path, every time you choose trust over fear, you shift your timeline, every time you choose to soften rather than tighten, you put yourself back into alignment with the flow that carries your desires toward you. And this flow is becoming clearer now, clearer in the sensations running through your body, clearer in the calm settling in your chest, clearer in the way your attention naturally drifts toward thoughts that support you instead of thoughts that drain you, and this shift is not accidental, it is a natural result of your energy stabilizing, because when your energy stabilizes, your mind no longer looks for danger where there is none, your emotions no longer pull you back into old patterns. Your inner world no longer reacts from survival but responds from awareness, and responding from awareness is the exact state that allows manifestation to unfold without friction, without resistance, without the push and pull that once exhausted you. Because now you are flowing with your life instead of resisting it, you are allowing instead of fighting, you are trusting instead of doubting, and this trust is becoming stronger with each moment you remain here, listening, absorbing, allowing these words to settle deeply into the parts of you that needed them the most, the parts that once felt unsupported, the parts that once believed they had to struggle for everything, the parts that once felt unworthy of receiving, and as those old parts begin to dissolve, you sense a new strength emerging, a strength that is quiet but undeniable, a strength that comes from knowing you no longer need to carry the weight of proving anything, because your worthiness is not up for negotiation. It never was, and now that you feel this truth more clearly, your relationship with your desires shifts, because you no longer look at them with longing or fear, you look at them with certainty, the certainty that what matches your energy is already on its way, the certainty that your alignment is enough, the certainty that you do not need to force anything to happen because you are now the kind of person who attracts rather than chases. And as this identity strengthens inside you, the entire world begins to look different, interactions feel lighter, decisions feel easier, your intuition speaks louder, your steps feel guided, because now you are not moving against your own energy but with it, and when you move with your energy everything aligns faster, outcomes appear more smoothly, clarity arrives more naturally, and the life you once wished for quietly begins to approach as if finally recognizing that you are ready, that your inner world is open, that your energy is a match. And this matching is exactly what draws your desires into physical form. Because the universe responds to alignment, not tension, and alignment is what you are stepping into now with more depth, more stability, more truth than ever before. And as you sink even deeper into this expanding inner clarity, you begin to understand something that once seemed distant, something that perhaps you heard before but only now feel with the full weight of its truth, the idea that your life does not change when the outside world rearranges itself. Your life changes the moment your inner atmosphere shifts, the moment your emotional climate transforms, the moment your internal state begins to harmonize with a reality that feels more aligned with who you are becoming, because transformation is not something you chase, transformation is something you allow, and allowing begins with presence, with this moment right here where your breath slows down, where your thoughts soften, where the noise that once controlled your reactions gradually loses its authority over your life. And as this noise fades, you begin to remember a version of yourself that existed long before fear complicated everything, a version of yourself that moved through the world with a quiet knowing, with the natural confidence that comes from understanding that life is not a test you must pass but a space that responds to who you choose to be. And now, you are choosing differently, not with force, not with pressure, but with a growing awareness that what you desire is not separate from you, it is connected to you through the energetic thread that forms your internal state. And as that state rises to a calmer and more stable frequency, everything around you begins to shift to match it, because life mirrors you, not your doubts, not your fears, not your old stories, but the energy you hold consistently. And now that your consistency is turning toward clarity, toward trust, toward expansion, you start to feel how the world opens in ways it never did before. You begin to attract people who resonate with your new state, opportunities that align with what you truly want. Paths that once felt blocked now begin to reveal themselves because the inner block that once prevented you from moving forward is dissolving quietly, naturally, without struggle. And as that block dissolves, you feel something you may not have felt in a long time, the sense that you are allowed to receive good things, that you are allowed to expand, that you are allowed to become the person who lives the reality your heart has been calling for. This sense of permission does not come from outside validation, it comes from your inner alignment, from the realization that you no longer need to shrink to fit the expectations of others. You no longer need to silence your desires out of fear of disappointment. You no longer need to hold yourself back in order to stay small enough for the old version of your life. Because now, you are stepping into a new internal reality, one shaped not by hesitation but by intention, not by fear but by deeper truth, not by pressure but by a steady inner knowing that what you desire is not beyond reach, it is approaching you even now as your energy shifts into a frequency that welcomes it. And as this frequency stabilizes, you begin to feel a profound sense of inner safety, a sense that you can trust the unfolding of your path even when you cannot see every detail, because intuition begins to speak louder than fear. And intuition guides you gently, it does not push or demand, it whispers, it nudges, it aligns your steps through quiet impulses that feel natural, impulses that move you towards something better without forcing you into anything. And in this quiet guidance you find a new form of strength, not the loud strength that fights against everything, but the soft strength that moves with life, that listens to the inner rhythm that Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized so deeply, the rhythm of alignment, of intentional energy, of calm expectation. And the more you attune to this rhythm, the more you begin to understand that your reality was never meant to be shaped through struggle, it was meant to be shaped through steady inner alignment. And now that you feel this alignment rising through your awareness like a warm current traveling upward through your chest, through your mind, through the entire structure of your being, you begin to sense the shift happening in real time, subtle yet powerful, gentle yet undeniable. This shift calls you to release the old stories that once defined your worthiness, the stories that told you things had to be difficult, the stories that convinced you that receiving was something reserved for others. Those stories lose their power now because they no longer resonate with your energy. They were built on fear, and fear has no place in a space that is being filled with clarity. And as fear fades, something new takes its place, something like inner certainty, a certainty that is not loud but deeply rooted, a certainty you can feel in the way your breath changes, in the way your thoughts stop spiraling, in the way your entire body loosens from the inside out. And when your body loosens, your energy opens, and when your energy opens, your reality begins to move again, not with chaos, but with alignment. And in this alignment you discover that nothing you desire is too big, nothing you dream is unreasonable, nothing you imagine is impossible, because the limits were never real, they were emotional, and emotions change when energy changes. And now, your energy is changing so deeply that the life you once thought was out of reach becomes something you can feel drawing closer, something you can sense approaching, something that is beginning to align itself with your current vibration. This is the moment when attraction begins. Not the forced kind, not the obsessive kind, not the kind driven by desperation, but the natural kind, the kind that arises when your inner world aligns with your highest intention. And as you settle into this knowing, as you allow it to fill the spaces that were once occupied by fear, you become the version of yourself capable of receiving everything that once felt far away, because now, it recognizes you, it matches you, it moves toward you, guided by the frequency you are holding right here, in this exact moment, as you listen, breathe, expand, and become the person your future has been waiting for. And as this journey reaches its quiet closing, you begin to feel how the transformation that started gently has now fully settled into your awareness, not as a concept but as a lived experience, something that anchors itself inside you with the kind of calm that does not disappear when the video ends, because the shift you created here is not temporary, it is the beginning of a new way of moving through your own life, a new way of perceiving your place in the world, a new way of receiving what is already aligned with your energy. And now, as you breathe a little deeper, you realize that something essential has changed, not outside you but within you, a softness that was missing, a clarity that was waiting to be remembered, a quiet inner power that rises without tension, showing you that what you desire does not require struggle, it requires alignment, and alignment is exactly what you cultivated in these moments. You learn to release the noise that once weighed on your decisions, you learn to create space inside yourself for new outcomes to emerge, you learn to trust the silence within you more than the chaos around you, and now this trust becomes the foundation of your next chapter. From this place, the world feels different, not because the world changed, but because you did. Your energy stands taller, your presence feels clearer, your heart rests in a knowing that does not collapse at the first sign of uncertainty, and this knowing reassures you that everything you desire is already on its way, guided by the frequency you now hold. And as this truth settles into your awareness, I want you to sense the path opening in front of you, not as something you must chase but as something that moves with you, as something that rises to meet your new energy, as something that recognizes your readiness. Because now, you are ready. Ready to receive. Ready to expand. Ready to live from a deeper place within yourself where fear no longer decides your steps and doubt no longer shapes your perception. And with this readiness, you step forward into your life with a softer heart and a clearer mind, knowing that the doors meant for you will open without force, that the opportunities aligned with your truth will arrive without resistance, that the experiences matching your new state will begin unfolding in ways that feel natural, supportive, and aligned with the person you chose to become here. You leave this video not as someone who hopes, but as someone who knows, not as someone who waits, but as someone who attracts, not as someone who fears the unknown, but as someone who trusts the unfolding. And this is the greatest transformation of all, the shift from a life shaped by reaction to a life shaped by intention. Let this awareness stay with you as you continue your day, let it shape the tone of your thoughts, let it guide your choices, let it support your path. And if this message reached you exactly when you needed it, if something inside you opened, softened, or awakened while you listened, then support this space so that this work can continue reaching those who need it most. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and share in the comments the phrase you are choosing to carry with you today. Your presence here matters, your transformation matters, and this is only the beginning of everything that is moving toward you now that your energy finally matches the life you desire.